To remove the right hand side switch cluster, start by loosening these 3 screws. Once they are out, the housing separates easily. And for the left hand side, you just need to remove these 2. The left hand grip is held to the clip-on rod by 2 screws underneath. Remove these screws to slide the grip off, which lets you pull the clip-on rod out. Okay, if there are no problems in a DIY job, is it really a DIY job? Because, quick heads up for this part, everything you're about to see with the throttle cables isn't actually necessary. I really thought that the throttle was the one that was holding the clip on, but it turns out it wasn't. Just to clarify, on the right side, the throttle, brake perch and the switch cluster aren't the ones that are clamping the clip-on rod. There's only a small alignment dimple inside the switch cluster that sits in a hole on the rod. All you need to do is just wiggle the switch cluster slightly to free that dimple, then push the clip-on rod inward and remove it. I did not realize that at first, so I just went ahead and loosened the throttle cable, which you can safely skip.
पिन गिरेगी पीछे से, इसको पकड़ लो, ये ताकि ये बहुत ज़्यादा नीचे ना जाए। यार एक काम कर रहे हैं क्या? चलाते हो? और मेरे से तो या तो कैमरा लिया।
From this point on, I wore gloves. I cut my thumb earlier and didn't have any plans to start a tetanus side quest yet. find all the part numbers for the parts I used in the description below, so you can easily source them from your nearest Royal Enfield part seller. Push the tapered rubber bush onto the flanged sleeve. Repeat 3 times for a total of 4. Can't really see it clearly in this shot because I absolutely nailed the framing, but I am lining up the handlebar riser on top of the upper yoke, making sure the arrow is pointing away from the tank, and then feeding the bolt up from underneath and tightening it into the riser. I had originally planned to install this Himalayan Adventure handlebar, but since it didn't really have the holes that are needed for the switch clusters, I took the vibration dampener off of it and installed it on the Hunter handlebar. I might get those holes drilled into that Adventure handlebar in future if I really want to use that one instead. Since Royal Enfield tightened this screw like it was holding the bike together at warp speed, the Phillips head just gave up on existence and got completely stripped the second I tried to open it. Luckily, there was a hardware store nearby, so I grabbed some replacement screws in the same size and moved on. So the stock cable is actually too short for this handlebar. Luckily, I picked up an interceptor clutch cable just in case this happened. All I need to do now is swap out the stock one. Although, I'll have to open up the tank since the clutch cable is routed behind this area.
we have the new cable. Here. Take it. Okay. केबल कुछ ज़्यादा ही टाइट है। And with that, the clutch cable is done. Let's put the throttle cable in, tank, seat, that cover, and then the bar and mirrors, and then it's all done. Not almost. Smash. Ooh, nice. Nice. Monkey noise is nice. इस बार ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ी वो करने की. Okay, so do not open this cover at all. You do not have to do anything here.
I was abused.
Yes, he was. Alright, so it's time to screw these up. And this part I will be using the stock one because the screw is not gone bad yet. But I will be using new screws for the other two because the same thing has happened with those screws. So let's get started. Alright, so the tank and the seat is back. Now the final steps, we just need to tighten everything up and mount any extra stuff that I have, for example these auxiliary lights. So I'll do that now, and I'll also install bar end mirrors. Alright, so everything works perfectly. The only thing that needs some adjusting are the bar and mirrors. Everything else is working perfectly, other than the grips, of course. It's a fidget spinner right now. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching. And this is the ultra helpful Daisy. All she does is eat hands and some gloves, and then she finds gloves and eats them. So please don't use gloves.